compelling power against an individual where their life is at stake, their liberty is at stake, you've got to have protections in place to balance the power. It isn't a question of, are you trying to avoid people getting convicted? It's a question of making sure that you protect everyone's rights. And procedures do matter. And when you think of it, there's no perfect system. That's not the question of criticizing one set of system over another. But I think that the question that we have to ask as judges, and we have to ask as a society, what protections must we commit to making sure that we protect everyone, including people who could potentially be guilty but still are entitled to the protections to be proven that they are guilty, and to be proven that they're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, a certain level of proof. And that's fundamental to how you view your society. And I think those are questions that we have to always be mindful of.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%. And you know, you may be absolutely right. There may be no way in the world that anybody could get you to do it, to say something that wasn't true, because you just wouldn't break. But people do. And if people didn't, there wouldn't be a Fifth Amendment. There wouldn't be a need for a Fifth Amendment, and people wouldn't have fought for the Bill of Rights, because they knew that some people do. And when you get somebody in there where they bring somebody in, even in America, and say, we have enough evidence to convict you, and we're going to go for the death penalty unless you confess, then we'll give you life without parole. You could save your life. Well, what do you do then? Do you lose your life over defending your dignity, or do you save your life?
Okay, so my question is, I'll go back to just what I read over the internet, which was if these kids were partying on the night, this happened in Halloween back in October 31st, or this, if they were into the macabre thing or whatever they were doing, and they were partying and the club owner was coming, it just, to me, it gives more validity to the story that at some point there was a party in the apartment. That's what I'm thinking.
But I understand what you're saying. The deal was, though, it was the day after Halloween. Okay. And they had all stayed up the night before all night. They were all exhausted. That's why it doesn't fit that fact pattern. But what you're saying is exactly what it absolutely highlights what the judge was saying, that you're hearing circumstantial evidence that would lead some people to believe something, but circumstantial evidence needs to be backed up by actual physical evidence. I got a confession from a man once. I got a confession from a man who said that he had murdered somebody. He told me he murdered somebody. He told me exactly how he did it, what he had said to the person, what weapon he used, and Bill and the judge will understand this completely. I couldn't walk into a court and say, case closed. I had to verify everything he said. I had to go find that gun. I had to go show that the bullets that were in that poor man's brain were from that gun. I had to show that there were footprints from the man there, because you can't even confess without evidence.
Did you verify it?
Yes.
Did he do it?
He did it.
Okay, so that leads me to believe at some point, if there was a party, that's what I'm saying, and like I said, I don't believe she did it, but if they had a party and these kids are there, that somebody, I don't believe she was there alone.
Okay, I don't believe she was. First of all, she wasn't at that. She wasn't at the house that night. Nobody can put her at the house that night. There's no witnesses that can put her at the house. She and her boyfriend were at his apartment. They have 3 computers, and they were on Facebook, and they were texting people, and they had a desktop and her laptop and his laptop, and when the police got them, they somehow destroyed all 3 computers and their alibi.
Okay.
So that's my point, and I'm not going to push this, because the judge has no opinion on this.
That's
and
right.
I don't want to get anybody into trouble. But I do. These are things that I want to be able to tell you.
Okay. International law. So let me ask you something, Your Honor. I'm impressed with the statement do you get the summer off? Because he just told me that in Italy, they get the summer off. So no matter what trials are going on.
Well, let me respond this way. Depending on what the state legislature do, we may get a lot more time off. So that's a budget concern.
Oh, God.
Beyond my pay grade.
Oh, Lord. That is amazing. So it's like no matter what's going on.
And it's an actual 3-month extension to anybody's sentence. If you think about that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So if you don't get your case resolved before the end of May, beginning of June,
yeah,
you're going to be there until September.
Wow, that's amazing.
But it is important for us to focus on individual rights, because you can talk about different systems. You can talk about what we do in the United States. You can talk about what they do in another South American country. You can talk about what they do in European countries. But I think the focus ought to be on what are individual rights. And you look at what do we elevate the dignity of the individual in the context of trial proceedings, and especially criminal proceedings, so that even the least of us in our society, who we may presume may very well be guilty, still they have rights that must be protected and must be recognized. Otherwise, what you're doing is putting people in quote-unquote protective custody, which is what the Nazi state did. And you know the end result of that. You're basically engaging in genocide with people when you do that. You certainly deny them their rights. You're involved in terrorism at that point. So yes, protections for the individuals, even in the context of criminal cases, is fundamentally a matter of justice, fundamental justice to me.
I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely. Oh, we all agree on something. The inalienable rights, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't say it.
We did that. Absolutely. And is there anything, because you have been, you get involved a little bit, but is there anything that you would like to tell our audience, Mr. Rehwald, on your thoughts or views?
On international law, not particularly, but I would like to make the observation about our founding fathers and the wisdom they had over 200 years ago to include a Bill of Rights that had the protection of a right to a jury by your peers, right. A right to counsel, a right to remain silent, and some of the fundamental procedural safeguards that we've been discussing have all go back to the Bill of Rights. And when you see what has happened to Amanda Knox, and then to compare it with what we have here, it's an amazing system. And I know in terms of my education, I think we've all said when we were in law school, this is the best system there is out there. There isn't any that's better. And
we continue to value it. That's what I think we have to make sure it's a priority, that yes, the protections of individual rights in the context of criminal proceedings is important, and that includes the rights of victims, which if you look at what the state of California does in terms of victim rights, they are included certainly in the sentencing process. They're considered. So it is a broad-based approach, but it's not one designed to let's protect the dignity and integrity of the state. Let's protect the dignity and integrity of individuals, and most importantly, their rights.
Yeah, it's you'd rather keep an innocent person out of jail than just about anything. Even if that sometimes means a guilty person gets more of the benefit of the doubt than they deserve, I would rather so much not put the innocent people in.
But you can get anybody to confess to anything.
And I can get that thrown out. I didn't say I could get it.
Oh my God!
I had a confession from a guy for a very large crime. And he came to the office in the morning. We had breakfast, we had lunch in the afternoon, we had dinner, we had a couple cigarettes. I don't even smoke, but at the end of the day, he confessed to this crime. And that confession never made it to court, because it was assumed that being in an FBI office with an FBI agent was inherently coercive. Was I frustrated? Oh yeah. this person committed a crime that led to somebody dying. He didn't murder them, but he led to a crime that led to somebody dying because of their religion. And he was a member of a white supremacist group.
Wow.
I wanted this guy in jail. I considered him dangerous. I still wait one day to hear his name in regards to a murder. And so, yes, was I frustrated about that? Yes. But if we have to let a confession like that go every once in a while to make sure that somebody like Amanda isn't beaten into a confession, then so be it. No system is going to be perfect, but let's at least err on the correct side.
Wow. So did this make you want to, like, go to Italy and stay there and, like, you know, fight for a while? I mean,
yeah, it does. But in Italy, it's a crime to accuse the police of a crime. So I've accused the police of a crime on American national television and in an Italian newspaper. So I could be held for a year without being charged. Do you see where I'm going with that? I'm not saying
we love the USA.
I love it. I may not vacation there for a while in Italy. I don't know if anything would happen to me, but I just, there's no reason for me to test the system.
Well, once again, I would like to say we've only got a minute or so before the end of the show. So I would like to thank you all for being here on From the Halls of Justice. And Your Honor, thank you for letting us use your talents and work you.
Thank you. Join the esteemed company. You're so quiet.
I'm just listening.
And so in parting, if you could say anything to comment on the Amanda Knox trial or the situation, what would you like to say?
I would like to say I can't wait to see her home this year. And I would like to tell students who are going over there, any country, be aware of where you're going. Know everything about the country you're going, and know that you can always call the U.S. consulate no matter what happens. Just say, I want to talk to the consulate. And
did she say that? Did she do that?
No, she didn't know she had that right.
Wow. That's heavy. It's just so deep. Mr. Rehwald, what would you like to address to our audience as we close?
Well, I join with Steve's hope that Amanda's home very soon, and I'd like to see that wrong changed and obviously corrected. But obviously, my side is a little bit more to protect Steve in the other matter, and that doesn't fall within the bailiwick of the international law issue.
Okay, well, we have to wrap up our show. Thank you so much for being here, Judge David Cunningham III, thank you so much for being here. To our television audience, we hope that you don't have to stand before him, but he's here. And Murvet, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for helping me produce this show. We couldn't do it without you. And a shout out to Mr. Arnstein. Thank you so much for joining us on the Halls of Justice.